guys, this is Austin.
And John.
And welcome to another episode of the Meatgistics podcast. Today is another special episode. I actually have a weird combo today. I have John and John with me today. John Tremblay, that y'all know, but we also have John Heinen with us today. John Heinen, he is my brother-in-law, and we're going to get to him and what he does and why he's here with us today. But first, we always have to get to the most important thing of the day, and that is the beer of the day. So I will kick things off here. And I was going through the liquor store, and I found something really nice.
Ooh, nice.
I hope everyone likes those sound effects. I enjoyed that. But it's from Odell Brewing. It's called Pulp Theory Hazy IPA. It's like a limited release, seasonal release. I have really gotten high on these hazy IPAs. Not high. Come on. But if it says hazy in it, that is where I'm gravitating towards right now. But this one is amazing. I'm really kind of disappointed that it's a limited and a seasonal release, but it's, in my opinion, everything you'd expect out of a hazy IPA. It's kind of creamy-ish. It's definitely got some cloudy appearance to it. It has some citrus and still some hop notes to it, but it's not overwhelming in any category at all. But this, as long as they have it out, I'm going to keep buying this one. It's really good.
I've got from Tight Head Brewing. Again, this is the one that Bruce sent to us. This is Scarlet Fire, a roasty red ale. I had it on the live stream the other day as well. Loved it then. I love it now. It's a really good, clean red ale. I mean, I like red ales anyways, but this is an exceptional one. 5.6% alcohol. You didn't mention that, so I'm assuming it's low.
No, 7.5.
I wish I liked IPAs.
Dude, they're all like the perfect range of beer in my opinion.
They are. They really are, but they taste disgusting. So
no,
it's
they're
just
delicious.
Not worth it. It's just, if I wanted to drink something that I found disgusting and just for the drink, I drink Jepson's Malort.
No.
Right back there.
No.
Try some of that. All right. What do you got, John?
I got a solid 23 flavors of Dr. Pepper over here.
What brewery is that out of?
I think it was made out of Waco, Texas.
I like it.
Dr. Pepper is, out of all the sodas, it's probably my favorite.
I actually...
Hands down has to be.
Yeah, as much as you drink, like it has to be the best soda on the face of the planet because
definitely
you drink more soda than anyone I've ever seen. But my wife, your sister, Jenny, I actually just now remembered what I was supposed to do. She wanted me to take some Big K, Dr. Big K or Dr. K, and pour it in a glass and pour Dr. Pepper in a glass and see if you could tell the difference between the two.
I could tell you the difference.
Yeah. Okay, so from there, let's talk to John real quick and figure out who he is. You guys are probably wondering who our guest is. We always try to have some fun guests on. I think you're going to really enjoy having John on here today. But John, can you spend just a couple minutes and kind of tell us like what have you done like in the past now? Like what is your role? Like what do you do for a living?
Well, so what I do for a living now, for say, is take care of cattle for other people on either a contract or under the like a day work status, day by day. Different people call and have me do different tasks between taking care of the cattle, processing the cattle, moving them to better grass or different grass, seasonal or calving, taking care of the calves or making sure that they take care of their calves properly.
So for other people out there, you would call yourself a cowboy?
Yeah, most people would classify it as that. I don't make a difference. I've been called worse. For sure.
So I think a lot of people out there, they probably hear the word cowboy and they think like 18,
the people that dress the part.
And but is like a cowboy still a thing nowadays?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's not out of the question by any means. It's still hard at it.
So are you like riding a horse every day while you're going out and doing stuff?
Yeah, more than one horse, more than every day of the week, seems like.
Very cool.
So what made you want to do this? Do you love horses? Do you love being outdoors? Is it
all of it?
All
There's not a whole lot of it. I mean, that I don't really care for. I mean, it's care for the horses, the cattle, the dogs, and everything in between.
So what is a typical day for a cowboy like? Like if you could generalize it and you could say this is a quote unquote typical day, what might happen?
Oh, this field, they're really hard to just put in quotes on a typical day. For say like last week, we were processing some calves, getting ready to pre-wean, getting them all their shots before they get pulled off their mama, before they get fed, and get processed, and so it was. Oh, for that deal, it was more of the days will change whether you're taking care of young calves or feeder calves or say mama cows that are, still pregnant before they have their calf. So it's hard to just put in quotes on a typical day because it'll change whether, what stage they're at, where they're at, time of the year, what grass they're on, where they're at, location wise.
So could you say that you kind of know what to expect, but every day is still very different?
You can start the day expecting how the day will come, but it'll change before you even get that thought process out of your head.
Yeah.
So you said make sure they get their injections. So you like the other cowboys and you are giving them the injections?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I mean, there's some veterinary.
Very much so. Yes.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just Tuesday, actually, I gave probably every calf that went through got 5 shots, and I gave them all. So there was 350 some calves. So
how do they like that? Do they react bad or
some handle it better than others? I mean, it's not, the needle ain't very big. It's just 16 gauge needle, and it ain't bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I should share this, but I'm going to. One of the products that we sell was actually designed for giving vaccinations and medicine to like cattle. It's what we call an auto meat injector. You've got like a feed tube off it. You put it into a bottle or container, and every time you squeeze the trigger, it injects stuff in.
Yeah.
But to a human, like it looks scary. Like you would inject that in somebody. Like that's a big needle for a human.
Look like a big needle.
But I should have asked you to take a picture of what you use on something like that, because that would have been interesting. But after one of our breaks, we may have to go grab one of these and show it to you and see, hey, is this one of the things that you use, something like that? But
all right, now he quickly touched on something that I'm absolutely going to come back to and possibly obsess on. I'm wondering if you know what that is, but while you're wondering that, let's get to these burgers.
Okay, sounds good.
Real quick, what we did in honor of having a real cowboy here, we went out and got some Kobe beef and just some regular 80/20. Made up burgers with the exact same seasoning. They have the exact same toppings. We're going to see if any of us can tell the difference with a real Kobe burger and a regular burger.
Does anyone feel like they're going to just hands down tell the difference?
No.
I bet I can.
Oh,
really?
Okay.
Because I'm nervous about it. I really want to say I can, but when I can't.
So half's the 80/20 and half's the Kobe?
Yep. We're just guessing which one.
So everybody's going with the non-toothpick one first.
Yep. Sure.
Okay.
I wonder if that picked up on the microphone. My stomach just went.
Oh, I was like, are you having a heart attack, John?
No, I'm not.
I don't know. That one's, which John am I talking to? This is going to mess me up all day.
Just call me Trembly.
Especially the people I can't see.
True.
So I'm going to guess that the one we all tried first is regular.
I want to say so, but I don't want to really say until we try the other one.
Go ahead.
The first
I'm about
one was
the same page. I don't really want to say until I can compare. That's definitely the Kobe.
Yep.
100%.
That was a lot less dramatic than I was thinking it would be because we all did it really easily. I mean, it's got a creamier. Wait, first, maybe before I say too much, were we correct?
Patrick's coming in. Oh no.
Are we wrong?
No way.
No. He just wrote this down.
No, so the no toothpick is the Kobe.
Oh my God, we're backwards.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I would have said, yeah, I was hands down. The toothpick was the Kobe. We're going to have to go back and make sure that Patrick did this right because, yeah, the toothpick one definitely tasted like it had more flavor, more fat to it. Tastes like a better burger. But
I'm glad I didn't go too far down the line of saying how awesome we are at picking things because I'm shocked by that.
well, I think we've proven, unfortunately, that we're not very good at guessing what is what on things.
So we used to do this segment called Mystery Meat where I'd cook up like snack sticks or something and he'd have to try them. No idea what the seasoning was going to be and he'd have to guess it. Out of like, I don't know, 15, 16 chances, only one of us guessed it right one time. It was ridiculous and it ended up being a little bit embarrassing.
And I did guess it
And
right.
you were the one. Yes, good job. Good job. So,
We thought we were going to be pros at it, and it was just a funky deal. We also kind of tried to throw the other one off, so that didn't help. But still, it's honestly, it's a lot harder to guess what you're eating exactly than you might expect.
Yeah.
But I'm still not sold. I want to recount. This is an election year, so I'm throwing out there
Definitely need
that the votes need to be recounted. We need to see if there were any mail-in ballots or if there was something else, because I don't think this was right.
I'm trying to see if he's laughing or anything, but no, he seems like he was legitimate on this. Huh. Well, then maybe Kobe's not very good for burgers then, because that one was definitely better. There's no
Hands down.
question in my mind.
Yeah.
We may have to do another sometime where we do like a whole muscle cut, because that is where you're probably going to see the biggest difference.
So I'm hearing you want me to go out and buy a bunch of Kobe beef, is what I'm hearing.
Not a bunch. I'm saying like get like Kobe, Wagyu, grass fed, and just like whatever's in the store.
So we've got we just pulled some of the dry aged steak we have out of the dry aging chamber. So that was 21 days. We're going to pull some at 42. And then Dylan's plan is just to let the last go as long as we can. Like until we're ready to put something else in there, we're going to leave that in there. So 180-ish days. When we pull
Is
that we need to do,
okay?
Yeah, he says it's fine.
Okay.
When we do that, we need to do that one versus the other ages, plus that one versus Kobe and Wagyu.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of different types of cattle, what is the one that you're most commonly?
Most common around here typically seems to be Angus,
Okay.
straight Angus or a Hereford cross in that category.
So that's a big animal.
Yeah.
What are the
yeah.
average weight of a female?
Typically with a calf on the side, anywhere from 1,200 to 1,400 pounds. In theory, is in good condition, that'd be in that size.
So with the females, they don't often get real aggressive, right?
Shouldn't.
Do sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah?
You go to tag some calves. Some of them get pretty protective, and they'll let you know.
That makes sense. You ever had them go after you while you're on your horse, or when they see? Yeah, really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've been hooked on a horse and tossed off of a horse, and actually last year I wasn't on a horse, but last year I got busted out. I was tagging a calf and she busted me, and I ended up having to get hauled out by an ambulance.
All right. First of all, what's busted out? I don't know.
I came out of nowhere. I had a hold of the calf, and she came out. She heard it bellowing before I got the tag into her, and she came in and she wanted me to turn him loose, and she came out behind me and hit me, blew out my back, and
Wow.
there I laid.
So hit you like a safety
train.
in the NFL, just bang.
Yeah.
Knock you down, trample on you
Oh,
when you
yeah.
were down there.
I don't remember. I was unconscious.
Oh. Well, I guess a 1,200-pound animal, which, I mean, they look kind of slow, but I am guessing, I mean, a bull can run fast. So I'm guessing the cows aren't that much slower.
Oh, they can run.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do just as fast as a horse. Some of them are faster.
So while we're throwing terms around, I gotta ask, what's the difference between a cow, cattle, steer, heifer, bull, any other word you got for it? Like, can you like help people out there? Like,
Clarify a little bit.
yeah.
So
what is
cattle in theory would be like a group. Are you saying, the cattle that are in this pasture, and that could be anywhere from the whole spectrum, from just a cow or bull or, calves on the side of her. So a cow would just be a female that's already had a calf. She's a female will be a heifer until she has her first calf, and then she'll be a cow.
Okay.
A calf born a male would still have his testicles. He'd be called a bull until he gets cut either at branding time, or if he gets raised in to be a herd bull, he'd keep his nuts and he would still be a bull. Otherwise, when they get cut at branding time or whenever, then becomes a steer.
Okay. Have you ever heard any other words used?
Oh, that depends on the day and how they're acting. They can come up with a lot of new names on the fly.
So after the bull becomes a steer, what is the purpose of doing that beyond just eating them? Is it just so that they can be?
No, there's quite a list of reasons for it. Especially if you keep your calves around each other, it'll keep them from breeding the heifers too early, because they won't be able to handle having a calf that early, and they'll get wild hair and big necks and stuff that feedlots won't want when you feed them out. And there's quite a few reasons. I can kind of come into a blank on it.
But how often, when you're going to the store and you're buying ribeye, my thought has always been, and I don't know why I've thought this, that's all female. That's not accurate at all, huh?
No.
I got a lot of weird preconceptions in my mind that I've never examined. Why do I think this? But
Tremblay, we don't want to get inside your mind and figure it out. We're just going to ignore you and keep going on with the conversation.
Sorry about that.
Actually, you'd probably be surprised. There'd probably be more males than females that you'd probably be eating, because most of the females would be breeding.
That actually makes obvious sense. Of course, yeah, the females, just like in a regular population, when you're trying to keep it up, the females are more valuable than the males. So.
Yeah,
to a degree.
That's normal in everyday life, right? So what is the difference between like a quote unquote meat cow or breeding cow?
Oh, not a whole lot between like a breeding cow and a meat cow, but like there's quite a bit more of a difference between a dairy cow and a meat cow. A dairy cow, clearly they'll produce a lot more milk. They won't be as much of they won't carry near as much meat as, say like an Angus to a Holstein or something like that. That Angus is going to fill out a lot more. That Holstein will have a lot bigger frame, look like she could, but they're just not made that way.
Okay. How often are cows having babies, and like, do they have like one? Do they have multiple? Like, what is kind of the whole lifespan like there, and how many are they producing?
Typically, a cow will have one calf when she goes a calf at a time. It's not uncommon to have twins or triplets or whatever. It typically, you'll wind up with problems either in the calving process of her trying to give birth to them, or later on down the road she won't be able to produce enough milk to take care of more than one.
Yeah,
that I run into a lot, especially when I was calving out heifers. You ran into a lot of, that heifer struggles enough just with one calf, let alone taking care of two. That takes a lot of milk and a lot of care. Kind of got lost in where I was talking.
So will they have like one calf a year, but they'll like have a calf next year, calf.
They'll
like how long does that lifespan go on?
In theory, the cow will have a calf every year. Say if you got them synced up to be spring bred, every spring she'll have a calf, and then when you wean them off in the fall, and then she'll come back next spring and she'll have another calf for, well, it kind of varies on breeds and whatnot, 10, 15 years or so. Some get older, some don't make it that long, but it
So when I'm driving by a herd, and I always see the little calf next to its mama, My wife just thinks it's so cute, and I just think it looks so tasty. How long will that little calf stay with its mom?
Typically on average, everybody, does their own deal, but, say 6 months, they'll be on their mom, and then they'll get weaned off, and then they'll get sent off to either a starter yard or a feedlot, and then they'll get fed out until they weigh enough to get processed or slaughtered for meat. And so on by their side, everybody kind of does their own deal, but I'd say about 6 months they'll be on their mom. Definitely need to get the calf pulled off before she has another one.
And at 6 months when you're weaning, I mean, I know they're not ready to go to the slaughter yet, but how big is a 6-month-old calf that's just been pulled off weaning?
Kind of depends on the breed and what they're being fed and stuff. Typically, you'd like to see, weaning weights between, 500-600 pounds or so.
6 months old and 500 or 600 pounds.
You'd hope so. I mean, there's a lot that, you'd shoot for 3 or 4, but kind of depends. Everything depends on, breeds. And
3 or 4 is an amazing amount too. That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's just like humans. Like some of us are bigger, some of us are smaller. And Tremblay, you're just a small man, so you would be on like the 300-pound side.
First of all,
some of us are going to be on the 500-600-pound side.
I'm taller than you.
No, you're not.
And if we're size, are you wanting to do like stomach?
Well,
is that what you're saying?
Right now, sure, because I'm definitely bigger. But okay, so while we're talking about like what cattle are eating and whatnot, John, what is the nutrition and the diet like for cattle? I've kind of got like 4 related questions here, so I might just throw them all out and just kind of let you kind of pick and choose what you want to go after. But like, what's the nutrition and diet like? Does anything change as they're being taken in for processing or slaughter? Like grass-fed, corn-fed, and how much do they eat? So just kind of like, what's the food like? What changes through the lifespan, and what are you doing?
Would that be, say in the summertime and whatnot, you got your cattle out on grass, and that way you're not having to feed them all the time, take care of your cows. And then a lot of ranches will pull in their stuff in the wintertime, and they'll keep them up close and calve them out and feed them and whatnot, so they can keep a good eye on them. So it'd change, per time of year on what they get fed.
Okay.
If they got enough grass and they're out on, say out in the Flint Hills and stuff, they got good enough grass where you don't have to keep anything out there besides mineral and salt and whatnot. But that'll take care of that. And then, so, everybody does it different when you bring them in and whatnot and you feed them. But when you got your cows, some people will pin them up and, have them in a yard or whatever and feed them a mixed ration where they could get anywhere from 30 to 40 pounds of mixed ration every day in the bunk, because there's nothing, there's in a pen there won't have any other, grass or anything to eat.
And what's mixed ration?
Mixed ration could be anywhere from just hay, distillers, corn, silage, and just whatever they can mix up.
All right, so you mentioned dogs.
Yes, I did.
So you're out there working on a horse with a dog.
Yes.
Dogs or a dog?
It could be one or both.
Okay.
Typically, I just carry the one right now.
And what breed?
One I carry right now, he's a blue heeler.
That obviously makes some sense. So 40 pounds in that range, 30?
Yeah, closer to 50.
Close to 50. Okay.
Yeah.
So good size one. And this is your dog or?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not just your working thing, it's also a pet?
Yeah, he's a little bit more on the pet side. He can do both, which is pretty uncommon. Most of them are one or the other, not both. Makes
sense. Is that, in your opinion, the best of the dogs for what you do?
It depends. Kind of depends on what you're doing, how much you do with other people. A lot of other people can't handle. A lot of other horses can't handle it, or different ranches don't care for their cattle to be around dogs or whatever. I mean, it always depends per owner.
What's the thought process behind that? Like, if I'm owning cattle, why would I not want a dog around them?
Some of them will get spooked by it and they'll take off and get running and stuff. They don't need to be running or
That's funny because everything I see, which is, I mean, my experience with cattle is mostly what I see on Instagram or whatever. It's always like cows, for some reason, licking a dog. It seems like they love each other, but maybe it's just, is that common or no?
Not
No,
really.
wow, okay.
Mine interacts with his teeth. Not really the tongue.
So just to interject, like, I love your dog. Like, your dog is amazing. Like, I don't even know how you train your dog to do that. Like, does it just come natural, or is he
some of it comes natural to him. It took a lot. He's still 2.5. He's still got a lot of learning to do, but he's not too bad.
So how often does your dog get hurt when he's out there in the field?
Oh, I try to keep him out of harm's way as much as possible because I'm not a fan of vet bills, but
yeah,
or anything getting hurt, especially me. But it happens. You just try to minimize as many times as you can.
Have you ever shot a cow because it hurt your dog?
Haven't shot a cow for that reason.
Shooting all cows. Anyone hurt my dog, I'm gonna shoot that cow for sure.
Most of the time, my dog can handle his own. If he gets hurt by one, it's gonna come back with more vengeance. 9 times out of 10.
Can we talk about other things your dog has done to other animals?
About coyotes and coons and
nice.
Anything? Yeah, if you're okay talking about it.
Oh yeah, he's a killer. He'll clear out all the varmints, whether it's a neighbor's pet rabbit or coons, badgers, coyotes.
So hopefully
birds.
your neighbor's not listening and they don't know that your dog has now killed a rabbit.
Or cats. Cats are
Badgers?
Good snacks. Yeah, he's got probably 3 by himself that I know of.
I think
badgers.
Of a badger is just like Wolverine, basically. Just
pretty much.
Got to see a picture of this dog by the time this is over.
Oh yeah.
So he's 2.5 years old and he's killed badgers, and my dogs. Well, no, Riggins has tried to eat coyotes, but
coyotes or coyotes?
Coyotes. But I can't imagine either one of them tangling with a badger.
Yeah, it would be entertaining to watch for sure.
Takes a heck of a dog to do it. I've seen a lot of dogs fail at it.
I can imagine. God. Where was this?
Out in pasture. Horseback, just riding through cattle.
I never think of Kansas as having badgers.
Oh yeah.
I think of that as more like a Wyoming, like where there are some beginnings, at least, of mountains. Huh. So other than right around here in Kansas, and I'm sure everybody knows, but for anyone who's listening from far away, Kansas is the 2nd or 3rd most flat state. We have no mountains. The highest hill in Wichita is the highway overpass. So everything's pretty flat. We've got, some rolling hills here and there, but nothing serious. You had said before we started, you'd done it in Nevada?
No, I've looked at going that direction, but didn't end up going that way.
Have you ever done it in higher altitude as to what?
Not to a big degree on, like camping and whatnot, having to ride out to camps and staying there for a long period of time. Haven't done that, but definitely looked into it.
So you might not know this, but I would imagine once you start getting into, well, not even Western Kansas, once we start going up into the Rockies, it would be harder for the cattle to keep weight on, right?
Oh,
because they're working harder?
Not necessarily.
No? Okay.
I mean, it big part depends on the grass, what, the nutrients that they're taking in, how many steps they got to take every day to get the amount of grass that they need. If they're having to cover a lot of miles to get a whole lot of grass, and it takes a lot different than whether they can just kind of stand in a little area and get everything that they need in a day.
That's kind of how I look at life too. Like,
how many steps it takes
how many
to the
steps
refrigerator?
do I have to take? To go to the refrigerator to do this and that.
Yeah.
All right. So one that I was always told growing up, and I know other people have as well, is cows laying down, it's about to rain. In your experience, any truth to that?
I don't see any truth in that. I do know that they will typically herd up together. They'll get real tight together. Sometimes they'll ball up against a fence or under trees for shelter and stuff, which is not a good idea, but that's what they do.
They're cows.
Yeah.
So is that when it starts raining, or do you think they can tell?
Typically they can tell.
Okay. But laying down is just somebody saw it once and was like, "Oh, it must be gonna rain." What determines when a calf is not called a calf anymore? Is it an age? Is it a weight?
Oh, typically age. A calf will be a calf until it's weaned, and you can call it a weanling or a young yearling, and then after a year, it's a yearling.
A weanling? Is that what you said? Weanling? Yeah. Okay. Never heard that term before.
Typically, you hear it in horses more.
So speaking of horses, how many horses do you have? Like you want to share like names of horses? Anything fun there?
I've got a pile of horses. Should I have to count? I got 5 or 6 of them standing at the barn right now, and I've got a few scattered here and there, all over the place. The colts I'm starting, and horses quote unquote broke horses that I ride to make checks every day. But
it is pretty interesting though that with the advent of ATVs, all those all-terrain type vehicles, people still prefer horses, huh?
Definitely,
just because you can go more places.
You can go.
Yeah, you were right on that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that anymore? Like, what are some of the specific reasons?
Oh, the cattle will naturally be a lot more accustomed to a cat or to a horse versus a noisy ATV buzzing around. They just. Just having the presence, I've gathered a lot of cattle. If somebody brings in a 4-wheeler and they can hear it, it doesn't even have to be near them. If they hear that thing buzzing around, they don't handle near the same.
Okay.
One of the things I've always heard too is like when you're on an ATV, like if you want to like flip the direction, like you have to like turn.
Definitely
around.
A lot bigger turning radius.
Yeah, and on a horse, you just like boom, you can pivot like right there on the spot.
Yep.
You don't have the maneuverability.
Not near the maneuverability.
Now, being in Kansas, we don't really have many. Well, I don't think we have any predators around here for you to worry about. But I do hear every once in a while people saying that there are mountain lions moving through.
Oh yeah, there's mountain lions.
So you've seen it?
I haven't for sure seen one.
Okay.
Firsthand. Pretty sure I've been real close around them, but I've heard a lot of stories of very reputable guys seeing them.
What made you think you were near one?
Oh, the noise. You can hear them.
Oh, you hear them yowling?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's got to be a chilling sound.
Get the hair stand up on your neck.
I can imagine. We talked about it a couple podcasts ago, but there was one picture I saw from a couple weeks ago, and it was a guy walking in, or somebody was walking in some trees, and it was like real tight, but there was a path, and right at the end there was like an opening, so there was sun shining down, and there was this, whatever you want to call it, puma mountain lion with its head low and its shoulders just bunched, and you see all that muscle, and someone's like, well, what do you say if you see this? And they said, whatever the opposite of pss, 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 pss is.
Down, kitty.
Yeah, that's not gonna be a fun fight for sure. But so you had those in other areas of the country. Wolves?
Yeah, there's wolves around.
Okay.
I've never experienced them. I've heard stories about them.
You're saying there were wolves around here?
No, not around here. No,
okay.
in the United States,
right.
Different areas.
So, do you ever do you bring a gun with you while you're going out to like ever protect against
I'm carrying
predators
most of the time? Yeah.
So,
whether it's whether I've got a long day and my dog finds a badger at the first part of the day and I don't want him wore out, I'll go ahead and put him down. Just put the badger down so I don't have to wear out my dog.
Put the gun.
Yeah.
Put the gun.
Put the dog down just so it's not tired.
Yeah. No, definitely save his energy if I've got a long day ahead of me and I don't want him wore out where I got to carry him back to the truck or something, or something like that.
So are you carrying like a handgun, rifle?
Depends on the day. I've typically got a handgun either on my saddle, in my gun, or in my truck, or I definitely got a long rifle somewhere nearby.
Very cool.
What do you like? What do you carry?
whatever's
Just
full
whatever.
ammo.
Okay. Yeah.
Honestly, in today's world, whatever you can get ammo for.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
ammo's-
that
ammo's
ammo is getting
becoming-
pretty hard to find.
Yeah.
I've been calling local places almost every day, and every time they're like, nope. Talked to somebody at Academy the other day. It goes, we just got some and it's gone. So,
And John's saying this, and we have an FFL, and we can buy guns and ammo.
he can't get 9
But-
millimeter.
Yeah, we can't get it. The only places that get it are like the big box stores, bigger places.
You looking for 9 ACP or long Colt?
No, ACP.
ACP.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Wait, do you mean you got me as in you have some? or-
I know I have some boxes of
Oh,
it.
okay. Well, and a box or two is fine, but I have a standing order of a case with Andy. Like
Okay.
as soon as you see it, buy it.
Word to the wise, don't give Tremblay any ammo. He's probably going to do something with it we're all going to regret.
Hey, I have been very good recently. You in some
Just
weird
because you
way.
can't get a hold of it.
Well, yeah, I think that's part of it. They're married into the family of the chief of police who works like 200 yards from the back of my house. He hasn't complained recently, has he? See?
Yeah.
I'm being good. I'm being good. This is going to be a weird question, but you ever tried to eat the badger?
I haven't
What?
tried eating a badger, no.
All right, so you think that's a ridiculous question, but there's a TV show called Nick's Wild Ride, and the guy Nick Hoffman has tried, I can imagine, almost every type of meat.
Yeah.
He claims his favorite, and it's not close, is mountain lion.
Really?
So it's not that odd. That,
No, I've tried rattlesnakes
Mm-hmm.
before. I mean, it's
Do you ever
me.
come across rattlesnakes out there?
oh yeah,
Really?
yeah, rattlesnakes, copperheads, and bull snake. There's a lot of bull snakes, and
Are bull snakes poisons?
no,
No.
No.
Just kind of mean.
some of them are. Most of the time, they're not. I mean, kind of depends.
And I don't want to put you into any type of peril, but if you can ever send me a picture of a rattlesnake, that would be awesome. Don't get so close you're gonna have an issue.
Oh no, snakes don't bother me. I've got pictures on my phone of me holding bull snakes that are as long as I am.
bull
Really?
snakes.
Yeah.
Snakes used to not bother me. I wish we had camera phones when I was a kid, but yeah, we used to go out in the yard and like search for bull snakes. We'd find one, and yeah, me, my older brother, younger brother, we'd carry it around and we're throwing it. And we were kind of abusive a little bit, I'd
Yeah.
say, but we had some fun with it. But bull snakes, they're fine. Other things, not so much. But
So what happens?
I grew up and realized that snakes are bad.
They're not that bad. No. So if you're with your herd, do you call it your herd when you're driving them?
Oh
Just
yeah, whatever.
when you're out there with them, and you run across a rattlesnake, you killing it, leaving it alone? What are you doing?
Depends on if it bothers me.
Okay.
Bites my horse, I'll probably kill it.
If what?
If it
with your
gets
horse?
my horse
Yeah.
or dog, it's definitely.
Oh, for sure. Has
Yeah.
your dog ever been bitten by a rattlesnake?
I'm not sure if he's been bitten. I know he's killed quite a few of them.
Okay.
Goodness.
So hopefully my wife doesn't see this, but she's a unbelievable irrational fear of snakes. Like to the point where we just moved into the house and they must have closed in a snake when they were doing the fine. I mean, it was a rat snake about this big, or maybe a diamond water snake, whatever. She called me literally crying. She's like, "You've got to come home. I'm taking the cat and we're leaving." And I'm driving home. I'm like, "We're
Wait.
gonna have to move."
You had a cat?
Why didn't you send
Oh,
the cat
yeah.
in?
Why did you have a
This
cat?
cat was not. He used to watch a spider go across the floor and he'd do this. He'd hold his paw over it and then move it away and watch it move a couple more feet and then put his paw over it. So he had like
Red light, green
some
light.
instinct, but he didn't understand he was supposed to kill it. Anyways, but the other day I got some tall grass behind my house near a pond, and I look over and my big dog, who's a South African Mastiff, is worrying at something. And I yelled at him and he picked his head up and there's a snake through his mouth and down either side. He's just looking at me like, and, I mean, the snake was dead, but oh my God, if she had seen that, I'm like, well, the dog's going to have to go too. Let's touch the snake.
Ooh.
But yeah, so I've read of some dogs being bit by rattlesnakes and being pretty much fine. Other ones, I mean, it can be it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it
I-
definitely could.
Just the amount of venom?
Yeah, depends on the age of the snake and whatnot. Typically the younger ones can't hold
Regulate.
back. Yeah, they can't really regulate any of it. They'll just full send.
As far as horses, do they get creeped out when they hear the rattle, or?
Depends on the horse. Like I've got some colts right now that I can't. If I sneezed on it, the sucker's gonna come out too. And I'm not kidding. I went to Hockaloogie yesterday on a colt that I'm starting in that. I mean, he did not care for that one bit. He tried skating out from underneath me, and I
Really?
Oh yeah, and I've just been starting him real quiet and just kind of been pretty, which is good to a degree until you are out in the open, out where there's nothing to get a hold of to get off or get him woed up, and you come across something like that.
So have you been thrown a good amount?
Yeah, plenty of times.
Any guess on the number?
No. Rather not even give you a ballpark.
Definitely dozens, though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So thinking of riding things, have you ever rode a bull?
Yeah, I rode just about anything out there with hair on it.
I kind of know the answer to that, but I still like. Can you give us like any type of story off that? Like,
there's stories on end on riding them in and out of the trailer, going in and out on grass, and just nothing crazy on them. But I've rode my fair share of wild cows trying to tag calves. Instead of getting hit, you just get on and they can't hit you.
good way to go.
Is that a common thing, or is that your own?
Try
personal?
not to be, but when in Rome.
Yeah. So when that one hit you like a Mack truck, what did you break bones? Just
Blew out a disc in my back.
that sucks. What was it? Do you know? Was it L4, L5?
It was in between L4 and L5.
Yep, that's what I did too. I've got
Wait, when you were like riding a bull
No.
or horse or something?
no,
You got a
mine
cool
was
story?
my sister was in the ocean and a great white shark came.
Yeah,
So I
just,
dove in.
no. I'm just saying your story, Tremblay, is a lot more boring right now.
No,
Sorry.
it needs to be about me. No, I just did it skiing or football or something. But I've got a
Oh,
scar
that's
like
still okay then.
this, well, like that. I hear the scar for
I didn't even get it.
Oh, you didn't get the surgery?
No, they said I was too young for surgery. They wouldn't do anything for me.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
I was-
physical therapy, and that was it.
I was 16 when they cut into me. How
Yeah,
old
you
were
were older than that.
22.
Wow. I guess they're smarter now. Because I tell everybody, I'm like, don't do it. Like, just rehab it. Do whatever you can. Do not go through that. Because that not fun.
Definitely not.
So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions over cowboys nowadays? Like, in my mind, like the first thing I think at least other people see is like 1900s and kind of a different world, but today they still exist. So, like, what do you think? Like, people think about a cowboy, and what do you actually do?
There's a lot of misconceptions on the vast majority of people that just don't understand that we're still out here, that we, they drive by down the road and they see cattle out there, but they don't know how they got there, what gets done to them, what they do, what's their purpose in life, and to that degree on what gets done with them and how it gets done and how it gets carried about. And so probably the biggest that I see day to day misconception is that there is still,
They're
cowboys
just-
say out.
They're just still
out
there.
Yeah.
And part of that, when you were saying like the people think of it as the 1900s, I mean, other than I imagine you have a cell phone with you, maybe a radio, you're still on a horse, still dogs, and you still have guns. I mean, it's essentially very similar, just with more modern communication.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
definitely.
So,
Definitely cell phones made a big change on that deal.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, I think it was while we were on break, but like best cowboy movie out there, and I threw out something, and John's like, "It's my Snapchat story."
That'd definitely be the best one.
no, but it is Silverado. In the same vein, favorite cowboy song? Do you have one, or are you just so sick of all of it? Okay. Okay, I can imagine that. Poaching a problem at all?
Oh yeah, you see it quite often. I've ran off lots of poachers. It's annoying. It happens, but
So when you say you've ran them, like when I think of poaching for cattle, for some reason, and here's another one, I don't know why I think this, I think of them trying to actually go like abscond with the cattle, try and take them away. Is that
in
generally
a
what you
sense
see?
of
or
like
is it-
stealing cattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been
Okay.
rumor that there's it's going on still. Locking your gates and whatnot, but padlocks only keeps an honest man honest, and if they want in bad enough, it's just a 5-wire fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no problems with them trying to go into the field and shoot the cow and field dress it or anything, right?
Not really that.
Okay,
I've
that's a lot.
I've
Yeah,
heard of
that's-
heard of people just shooting them just out of despite and whatnot, but doesn't make sense.
No.
So you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but totally random thing came across my mind. But as a cowboy, have you ever gone cow tipping?
Can't say that I know what you're talking about.
Seriously?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So supposedly the rumor is that I haven't done this since I was a wee young lad. But when a cow is supposedly sleeping, if they're just like at night completely chill, standing upright, you can go over and like tip them over, just push them and they fall. Never heard that?
No. When you first said, I thought you said cow titting with a T instead of a
Oh.
T. I thought you were talking about milking them or something. No, I've never heard of the tipping.
Okay.
I've heard of cow tripping with a rope, but that would
I don't know what that is.
it'd just be basically the way I doctor stuff when I do stuff by myself is you'll rope them around the neck, and then you'll throw your rope over there around the backside of them, and then you'll keep it above their hock. You'll ride in front of them, let them cross over, and then as soon as their legs go over, you'll pick up your slack and it'll be wrapped around their back legs. You dally off when it comes tight, and their legs will come together and they lay over.
Nice.
So how good are you with a rope and a lasso? Pretty good? Sounds like
I
it.
mean, I'd make a living doing it.
There you go.
I mean, I'm not rodeoing and making money off of the roping deal, but good enough I get called back.
Yeah. I don't know, from what I've seen, I mean, you look pretty good. Like even when you're like in the yard, just like roping the little, I don't know what you want to call it.
Dummy.
Yeah, the dummy. That's a bajillion times better than I could do. So you look pretty sweet doing
I
it.
appreciate it. I just try to do as good as I can, I guess.
So Tremblay, have you ever heard of cow tipping? Or am I like on an island here right now? I kind of have to know.
I grew up in upstate New York. Yeah. They have dairy cows all over the place up there. So yeah.
Have you done it?
No, because I don't hate animals. I'm nice to them.
Oh. Well, I never did it. I tried. And a bull came at us. And we got out of there real fast.
So I'm sure everyone has a story similar to this because I think the signs have become more popular. But when I was young, I don't know, must have been 12. I was in Massachusetts or somewhere, and we were walking, and there was a pasture with a sign. It said, if you're going to hop this fence, you better be able to run the field in 7 seconds because the bull can do it in 6. And there was a big bull in there. I kind of from there, I was like, I don't think cow tipping is the smartest thing to do.
Yeah. So John, what is like the busiest or hardest time of the year? And like kind of like tell us about like how long the days are for a cowboy.
So, I mean, it would depend on operations and whatnot, but for like a cow calf guy, typically your busiest times would be calving seasons. You'll have to be, you have to watch them a lot closer for, say, make sure they're not having issues or, in that sense. So you'll, keep an eyes on them multiple times a day, preferably unless they're a proven cow, running age cow that have, shown that she can do it. And if you're calving heifers and whatnot, that takes a lot more time and dedication. And I've calved out hundreds, and it can go anywhere from a 12-hour day to, a few days on end with a couple of naps in between. And like it's nothing.
Yeah. So how often like do you go into it and then like you maybe catch a little sleep eye here and there? And it's just, does it do the days during calving season just kind of run together?
Most of the time, it seems like they'll run together more times than not, especially when you get snowstorms that come in and, freezes over and you've got to bed down calves and, make sure that when, the calf comes out and it's going to be covered in fluid and whatnot. And so as soon as that hits, 0 degree ground, there's a term for what that's called, but it'll basically their body temperature is going to drop really, really fast. And a heifer isn't near as good as a cow on getting it cleaned up right away. And so if she lacks a little bit or doesn't claim it right away, which is pretty common, then their body temperature is going to go down. And if you don't get out there, they could freeze or whatnot. And a lot of times I've had to take them in and put them in a box with straw and heat lamp and stuff, or throw it in the floor of the feed truck with the defrost on and warm them up, or bring them in the house and put them in the bathtub.
So just to clarify again, like a heifer is a cow more or less for the layperson that just hasn't given birth before.
Right.
Then the cow is the one that's given birth at least once before.
Yep.
So the heifer, they don't have
female before she's had a calf.
They don't necessarily know the whole process.
No,
it's the first time.
They don't.
So
they're pretty.
They're green.
Very green.
Do they try and fight you at all if you have to go take it from it?
Oh, typically some of them don't quite know. They won't be near as apt to protect that calf versus, a 5-year-old cow that's had them before. She's going to be a lot more apt to say, how about you not take that?
How about no?
How about no? Yeah, a whole lot of that.
So what happens when things go bad? And do you ever have to, like, for lack of a better term, do you have to go up in there?
I've been up in there more than a lot of times.
I'm sorry, I don't know a better way to explain that, but
that's a pretty good term for it. But yeah, if you notice that, a heifer is prolonging the, after she has her water bag, she presents feet and a mouth out of her vulva, and you don't notice any progress, or she gives up progress, she's not pushing, she's not trying, or she goes back to eating, she just kind of forgets about it, doesn't worry about it, then you've got to step in and say, we need to get this done before it dies, they both die, because she can't have that. And so depends on the situation. You could come in and sometimes they won't be presented, you won't see anything, and those can be really problematic if, say, the calf is breached, which would be the calf facing the wrong direction. It'll be tail coming out first instead of the feet and the nose.
Yeah.
There's probably not a whole lot of options that I haven't seen. I've had breached calves, I've had a foot get hung back, I've had the head get tucked back, and both of them being pulled back and the nose coming out. And those take, depending on the heifer, their pelvic, will measure different for breeds and different genetics and whatnot. Some could, if they're not fed well enough and they don't have enough energy. I ran into that one year where they just weren't fed well enough in the, like, late second gestation on the third gestation. They didn't have near enough energy or body weight or any condition on them to take care of it. And so I ran into a bunch where I was, they just ran out of energy. They just didn't have enough to get the calf out. And so I was having to pull them. And a lot of times when you do that, they don't know what's going on. So they see this foreign object that's laying on the ground, and they don't know what the heck's going on. So, they didn't do it, so they don't understand. So you got to pin them up and leave them in a pretty tight area by themselves till they figure each other out. That's a labor intensive process.
Yeah. So when you pull a calf, what's that entail? Like, in my mind, you're like fingertip to shoulder, gloving up, and going in there, and you're just grabbing and pulling out. Like, is there a art or science to it? Like,
I would hope it's a little bit more.
That's why I'm asking.
Technical, but smooth and just reaching in and grabbing.
That's why I'm asking.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot more of an art to it. Say I bring one in, if they get brought in. Sometimes they don't want to get brought in. They just want to do it out there in the pasture. That's fine. I've got a rope. We'll make it happen. one size fits all. And, you know, if I get her brought in there and I reach in and I feel one leg sticking out and a nose, then I know that I've got one leg curled back that's not getting up. Some cases you can grab a hold of that leg, pick it up, you know, present it in and get it pulled, you know, set your chain, OB chains, hook them on the feet, and you can set up a puller and pull it out. There's a lot of cases where you got to shove the calf back in to make the room to bring up the shoulder to get it over like the pelvic wall into the birthing canal to make it all fit at one time. It's kind of like the little game where you got to line everything up just right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times you'll get to pulling and they'll get hip locked, like their shoulders, you know, their head, when their head comes through with their arms basically where their shoulders are, and their back hips will be the widest part. So sometimes you get to pulling, you'll get everything out and you'll get locked on the hips. The hips will get stuck. The calf will be dangling out of it and you can't get it out because it'll get hip locked. In a lot of cases, you got to get shoved in. You got to turn it because the pelvis will be longer tall ways than it is wide ways.
Yeah.
And the calf will be wider this way than it is tall ways. So you got to maneuver it and make it fit.
Around and
But, you know, all the while she's trying to kick you and stomp around. And
That's what I was gonna
it's hard to
Yeah.
make it. I mean, it sounds pretty easy, but
No, it doesn't. So you're actively evading hoofs, kicks, I assume
Yes.
bumps this
Oh, yeah.
entire time. Yeah. Because they don't understand. They don't know.
they have no idea what's going on.
So ideal would be it comes out hoof down, hoof up, nose in the middle of those.
You'll want, the
be
front,
the
the front
perfect
two,
way.
the hooves will be face down, and then the nose will be right behind the hooves.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
If you see them and the hooves are facing up, that's not good.
You're in trouble.
That's a breach.
Oof.
That means back leg's coming first, and that's really hard to pull because the umbilical cord will come undone once it goes over the birthing canal. Once that umbilical cord comes undone, that baby's on his own.
You only got
His head is still in her.
How long do you have for that?
Not very long. Got to get it pulled fast. If it hip locks, you're in trouble.
So, do you ever have problems there where you're trying to decide, am I pulling the calf and just doing it, or am I saving the cow? Like,
Oh yeah, there's a lot of times, you know, judgment call. There's a lot of times, you know, that calf may be way too big. You know, you may have to call the vet and have a C-section, have to cut it out of her belly. You know, if the calf's not alive, sometimes you got to cut the calf up. If it's not alive, you got to cut it up and get it out of there. Otherwise, you know, she can't absorb that, and it'll wind up killing her too. And I've had to do a couple C-sections, and that's a process.
you've done it yourself?
I've not personally done one.
Okay.
But I've watched enough.
I was gonna say that would
if
be
I had
entertaining.
to, I probably could. Not nearly as neat as a vet would, but then another deal on, you know, when they get real stressed out and then they get to working real hard on like a bigger calf or something, or they get laid down and they push out a lot. Sometimes they'll prolapse, and basically that all the uterus and whatnot, all that stuff will come out. That's a process trying to get all that stuff turned back inside and stitched up. And
Yeah.
I've had a lot of those too.
Yeah. So, how many times do you have to like pull out like the suture kit and do your own patchwork
Numbers of
on
times.
a cow,
Try to keep it
horse,
as minimal.
your dog, like anything?
I've stitched up everything from myself to cattle, horses, dogs.
You've actually stitched up yourself.
Yeah, stitched my foot before.
That's a little scary.
What caused that?
I'd rather not talk about that.
Stitching your dog sounds interesting. I can just try to imagine stitching. So Brutus, our dog the other day, the big one, trapped a vet assistant in the room snarling at her because, well, he was fine until, you know, you can't go in with him right now because of COVID. And he has like zits underneath his chin, like these little pustules. Well, they tried to squeeze one to get a sample on it. And yeah, he didn't like that. So they came out, they're like, we need your help. And I walk in and I just hear, I'm like, uh-oh. But I can't imagine, he would never stand still long enough as I was sticking needles in him. Do you give your dog like a local?
sedation? Yeah.
Okay, cool,
yeah,
cool.
I'd definitely give him a local or a sedative of some kind and And I've, some of the cows, you got to give them a sedative or something to calm them down just to pull a calf because they're going nuts. Or, give them an epidural so they'll relax and quit pushing on you.
Huh.
Say you've got one that's twisted or turned and you've got to shove it back in and all she's doing is sitting there fighting you, trying to push on it. Well, she's not ever going to have it because it's not lined up right and it'll never fit. And so she'll sit there and just push on you, and you got to give her an epidural. Another little trick to the trade, you can put a bloat tube down them, put a tube down into their rumen, into their stomach, and then they can't compress and push real hard. It's not 100%, but it'll help. Oh. And, when you're out there in the middle of the pasture and you don't have
use what you can.
Yeah. You don't have the lidocaine to give her the shot, then, if you got a tube or.
Is that what it is? Is lidocaine?
That's one that you could use, acetaminophen, dexamethasone, or.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what you could possibly give. You said they're 1,200 pounds, that range?
Yeah.
What can you possibly give that to calm it down? I mean, that's a
tube
of sedatives this big. I mean,
yeah. There's a lot of different Rompum, acetaminophen, dexamethasone. Well, that'd be more for swelling and stuff, but a number of different things.
Honestly, like the more we talk to you, like the more I go, like, dude, you really your stuff. Like,
I try to.
Yeah, it's more. There's a lot more like veterinarian in the job than I ever would have guessed. Is that common, or are you kind of specialize in that?
I don't really specialize in it. I mean, most of us know it, but we're trying to cut down on costs. It's really expensive to have the vet show up and pull calves. Most people do. If you don't have if you only have to pull one calf a year, that's fine. But when you're calving out hundreds and hundreds of cattle, you wind up into more problems than the farmer down the road that has 20 cows that are proven and whatnot.
So can you guess what's the highest number of calves you've had to pull in one season?
I think one season I probably pulled 105 or something like that.
That's crazy.
That's an astronomical amount.
So how'd you sleep during that time?
I didn't.
You didn't?
With my eyes shut at best.
That's where the Dr. Pepper began. Just needed some caffeine. Yeah. Give me another doctor.
No, but seriously, like, when did the Dr. Pepper begin? Like,
that's
why?
a good question. I'm not really sure. I just
came on and then kind of built in a stronghold.
Yeah, okay. Pretty much.
But I can understand the not drinking thing. He rides horses, he's fighting rattlesnakes, badgers, making sure his cows are fine. I mean, he's got enough going on. He doesn't need.
Yeah, I feel like you should not drink if you're doing that type of stuff.
Absolutely not.
Unfortunately, we have more of an office job where on Fridays at 3:00, we come in here and drink some beer and do a podcast. And different world, but John, you've got a whole different thing going on, and it's very impressive.
Yeah, you said unfortunately, man. I love my job. I know you have to.
Well, I love my job.
Me, so
I hate managing you.
Right. So not as much fun. But no, when you were younger, did you know you didn't want an office job? You wanted to do something.
I definitely knew I was an outdoors person. I don't. Nope. I mean, this is fun, but I definitely could not do. No.
Nope.
No, definitely not. Unless you let me ride my horse up in here.
Dude, if you want to bring a horse up in here, I'm all in.
I could have hauled one.
I don't know what we would do with that, but maybe we could come up with an episode for that.
All I can think of is in France, they eat horse.
Bareback bronc riding in the parking lot. Let's go.
Let's go.
Do we have anything?
No.
Anything else? I mean, we've covered a ridiculous range of topics.
Yeah. We should probably wrap it up here. I think we're over the time limit for the day. Well, quote unquote time limit, whatever. But yeah, we covered a lot. Yep. Like, honestly, I think viewers are going to love this. If you guys don't, just be quiet, don't care, because I think this was an awesome episode.
Because we liked doing this one. So
yeah.
Well,
so thank you, John. Like, this is a different perspective than we've got from anyone, because most of the time we do meat processing and we're going from the time slaughter to after. And you gave us a very unique insight over to what happens beforehand.
From the ground up.
Yeah. So this is honestly insightful for me, insightful for Tremblay or John, whatever.
That'll work.
And I think it's going to be very insightful for the rest of our viewers. So I'm excited. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see. We'll talk afterwards, see if you enjoyed this, and we'll maybe have you back sometime. But
that'd be great.
But that's all I have for today anyways. So
I'm all good. Just if anyone has topics they want us to cover, guests they want to suggest, if you have an interesting story and want to be on the podcast, email us at podcast@waltonsinc.com. Again, hopefully by the time anyone's hearing this, I've responded to all the jerky and bratwurst ones out there. But if you haven't, I am keeping hold of all those. I will get you something as soon as we have stuff I can send to anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
Some of those people, I can't send you a fresh product, so I'm just waiting.
Yeah, we're working on it. So
all right, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much, John. Thanks so much. That was awesome.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely great.